Hey everyone, this is Rob over here at BuneBape, and I hope you're having an amazing day. Today I'll be bringing you all another Outriders video, and this time it's going to be an updated build guide for that Ironclad build that everyone seemed to really enjoy. So the Ironclad build is essentially you becoming the incarnate of a minigun monster in Outriders, and this is the same here. So I tried my best to carry over everything that was really fun about the old build, and I think I was pretty successful here, and also made it so that it's fully updated with new skills, abilities, and mods so that now you're completely capable of destroying any content in the game. So of course, as always, there's going to be timestamps down in the description, so if you want to jump around and see what different abilities or mods I used, then jump down there and that should be able to direct you. Of course, as always, if you enjoyed the video and want to see more of this content, you know what to do. Also, if you want to throw down in the comments down below any other things that you might have included into this build or any successes you've had on your own minigun builds, let us know down in the comments below. It's always really fun having a discussion about different builds down there. So with all of that out of the way, we're going to jump into the mod and gear section. Alright, so here we are at the gear section, and let's go over weapons first. So in that CT-15 Arcways you just saw me do, I was using the Mind Mugger as well as this other AR that has Resistance Breaker on it. Mostly that was to test whether Resistance Breaker and Anomaly Mutation would work with the minigun. I've tested quite a few of the legendaries I have and all of the different mods, and it doesn't really seem that any mods work with the minigun even now. It honestly is unfortunate, but does make it a lot easier for this build recommendation, as you pretty much just want the death shield or literally anything that has Fortress on it. If you don't have that, then it literally doesn't matter what weapon you're using, so just run with literally any weapon, no weapon, or whatever you want. So as far as the gear goes, what's nice about it is it's really simple. Just get as much anomaly power and cooldown reduction as possible. Also, there's not many mods that you need. The first one here, of course, is Massacre. This one was essentially deleted from the game earlier, making the build not really usable, but now it's brought back and has a 6-stack maximum, making it still very nice and viable. This Grim Inventor's coat I'm wearing is not needed by any means, but it did have a nice default of Fortify, which you definitely need. It's going to give you a ton of survivability, and on top of that I threw Power Assimilation because you're essentially going to have this buff up all the time, and it does stack. As far as the pants go, there's really nothing special here. I just had a random pair of pants that had Dying Fire Breath on it. Not really useful, but it is nice when it does go off. And just decided to throw Captain Hunter on it because this build does kind of struggle a little bit more against elites, as does most anomaly builds. So for the gloves, again, nothing special. I just found a random pair and threw a bang for your buck on it. It's almost a necessity for any minigun build. And so for the fifth and final piece of this build, we have the boots, which in my opinion is arguably one of the most important pieces for this entire build. And that's because this has toxic lead on it, and it's going to be the main way you're going to sustain your minigun's ammunition. So luckily this does work and allows you to resupply your minigun with additional ammo. It's only slightly annoying because you do have to kill enemies that have toxic on them, so you either have to melee them or wait for your blighted turret to apply it. On top of that, we're using Trap Cluster, and you definitely don't need Trap Cluster. If you had any of the mods that give you one additional grenade, it would be the same, and those are just tier 1 mods. It would be nice if I had all of the additional Scrapnel grenade mods as well as Trap Cluster, but unfortunately a lot of this gear, as you likely saw, is very poorly rolled. But that is also one really nice thing about this build, is that you don't need a ton of very specialized mods. You just need a few to get going, and you'll do more damage as you get better, more specific mods on your gear. So that is gonna about wrap it up for the gear section. I'm now gonna move on to the skills as well as class tree sections, but if you are interested in more detail as to why I picked certain mods or anything like that, throw them down in the comments, or I will explain slightly further in the tips and strategy section. So here we are at the skills section. I'm briefly going to go over all of these skills and why I use them. So of course, Tool of Destruction is the main skill we're playing around. If you hold down the button, then you will summon a minigun. Like I said, that's going to be the way we stack up our anomaly power, our armor, and heal ourselves constantly. So that's going to be a must-have for this build. Of course, next we have the Blighted Turret. This is going to be a staple in most anomaly builds because it does provide you a anomaly buff every time you cast it. Not only that, for this build we are going to be relying on it to give us that toxic lead proc, so make sure if you need ammo, kill enemies that have been poisoned with toxic. And lastly, we also are using Shrapnel. This may seem kind of odd, but Shrapnel actually does huge amounts of damage in this build because we are able to stack our anomaly so high with Tool of Destruction. It actually also, of course, affects our Shrapnel, and it is going to be one of the main damaging abilities that we use to take down the bigger, harder enemies. So moving on to the class skill tree, and this is going to be what it generally looks like. We're going essentially full Demolisher, making sure that we take all of the anomaly power and resistance piercing we possibly can. On top of that, of course, like always, we're taking Adrenalizing Antenna, and so every time we cast our Blighted Turret, we are getting quite a substantial anomaly power boost, which is going to be really nice. So you're going to want to cast that as much as possible so you can maintain that buff. And so the main reason that we are taking so much cooldown in this skill tree is because we're going to be needing to cast Shrapnel every time that it's up. And that is because every time that we cast it, we get the Tech Bond buff, which says that every time we activate an ordnance skill, it's going to increase our anomaly power by an additional 50% for 10 seconds. And with this build, with everything the way it is, you have approximately a 10.5 second cooldown on your Shrapnel. So that actually works out to be perfect, essentially giving you a 24/7 50% anomaly buff similar to the Adrenalizing Antenna. So this is nice. It's going to make your damage much more stable and much more higher overall for a build that feels much more sustainable in the damage department. So of course, like I said previously, it is kind of awkward and takes some finesse making sure that you're able to replenish your ammo anytime an enemy is exposed by toxin. That being said, you can take the node in the far bottom left of this tree. This is going to allow you so whenever you melee an enemy, it also applies toxin to them. This could make getting that ammo back much easier, and you could easily forego something like the cooldown or the resistance pierce just to the left of that we took here, so you can afford that extra notable. And like I said, that's likely going to make the gameplay much smoother and making sure you don't ever really drop your minigun because of lack of ammo. That being said, that is going to be about it for the build, and now I'm going to move into some strategies and tips that I found while playing it. So that's going to be about it for the build. I really hope you enjoy it and you try it out. Let me know how it goes down in the comments below, and if there's anything I missed or that you think I can improve, you can also let me know down there. So as far as these strategy and tips go, you're actually going to see a lot of them implemented in the gameplay that you're watching now. So as you can see, I do my very best to take down all of these smaller enemies as fast as possible. This is going to quickly build up your massacre stacks, which is going to give you multiple times more damage because it's going to give you a ton more anomaly power. Not only that, we usually like to leave the bosses up because each boss on the field also gives us more anomaly power stacks, and so essentially this build is just stacking as many buffs as we possibly can, and then once we are at full power, we use that to take down all of the big bad enemies. As far as other mods go, we use bang for the buck to its fullest. It is pretty hard to sustain this build with half as much ammo as we have here, so having that over 300 bullet count in our minigun makes it really nice as far as gameplay goes. It's a lot more lenient, especially because, like I said, it can be kind of finicky, only killing enemies that have toxic on them. As you can see here, I actually get fairly low when it comes to ammo, pretty much as low as you possibly could get and still maintaining your minigun. I get down to 3 bullets before I'm able to finish off one last enemy. But as you can see, I am actually doing a pretty good job of staying alive, and that is mostly due to this build having very good sustainability via the nearly 300 armor and constant heals from all of your different abilities. Of course, like I said in the skill section, our Shrapnel is making it so that we do huge amounts of damage against these bosses because it also benefits from all the anomaly power we're stacking. So overall, make sure that you have as much cooldown as possible because you will not regret it when it comes to all of those Shrapnel grenades. As far as tips and tricks go, that's going to be about it for the build. Again, as always, let me know down in the comments section below if you have any questions or any suggestions for the build, as I do read through and respond to all of your comments. Along with that, let me know if you want to see any other builds or any other videos from Outriders, and I'll see about working on any of those right away. So I really hope you enjoyed the video or you got something out of it that will help you out. Make sure to have an amazing day, and I'll see you all very soon.